Tonight on GRAVITAS, we are taking you beyond the Russia-Ukraine battlefield and decoding what's actually been happening behind the scenes. It's not just the usual exchange of fire on the ground. This is about a series of extraordinary developments which shows just how far the two sides are really going and how the war seems to be expanding. How Moscow is sending out a chilling warning to its adversaries beyond the battlefield of Ukraine. Let's decode this bit by bit. Again, with the US side stepping in a way, the European allies are coming together, putting up that united front to stand by Ukraine. More weapons, more aid, more support is being promised by the so-called coalition of the willing. Let's first get to the very latest from the battlefield. A lot to unpack there. Russian forces are unleashing another wave of missiles and drones across Ukraine as Kyiv struggles with that growing shortage of Patriot interceptors. Not just that, at the same time, Moscow is putting a new nuclear weapon carrier through sea trials. From the Ukrainian battlefield to the depths of the ocean, Russia seems to be displaying two very different forms of firepower, essentially. The night sky over Ukraine lit up once again. Take a look. In fact, in that latest assault, Russia launched around 150 drones along with a ballistic missile and an air-to-surface missile. Ukraine saying its air defenses destroyed or jammed as many as 124 drones, but strikes were recorded at 17 locations. Ukraine, in fact, says Russian attacks across the country killed at least 5 people and injured about 100. Chernihiv Oblast was among the hardest hit after Russia launched a wave of strikes following Ukraine's Independence Day. The Russian military claiming that it has destroyed a drone crew of the Ukrainian military. The Russian Ministry of Defense also claiming that it has eliminated about 1,000 Ukrainian troops. Now, these are claims made by both Russia and Ukraine on a daily basis. It's also hard to really verify what's happening on the ground, really, in the fog of war. Let's also tell you how one missile used in the latest assault is also causing a lot of concern. According to the Ukrainian military, Russian forces fired a dual-capable missile system that can carry either conventional or nuclear warheads. Now, there is no indication that a nuclear warhead was used in this attack. This missile system travels at hypersonic speeds. We are talking about between Mach 6 to Mach 7. So that's roughly around 7,500 to 9,300 kilometers per hour. During its terminal phase, as it dives towards a target, it can accelerate up to Mach 7.3 to even Mach 8. Now, the Russian Ministry of Defense released these images, which basically claim to show the destruction of a Ukrainian Flamingo long-range cruise missile launch site. And this also coming at a time when Ukraine is under a lot of pressure to stop such ballistic threats. Patriot interceptors are in short supply. And Ukraine is once again asking Western allies for more systems as Russia keeps combining ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, huge drone waves. Zelensky once again warning that Russia could escalate the conflict later this year by mobilizing around 300,000 additional forces, additional troops after parliamentary elections in the month of September. Now, the so-called coalition of the willing, basically a group of countries backing Ukraine, has promised to come to the aid of Ukraine, but to what extent is the question. One pressing problem remains largely beyond their control, which is securing additional Patriot interceptor missiles. Listen to this.
The last weeks were very clear about the fact that we have to accelerate the delivery of interceptors. And we had this coalition, the Freya coalition, and the Integrated Anti-Ballistic Missile Coalition launched the 13th of July. I think it's very important that all of us accelerate in terms of delivery. We had a 2-hour discussion 2 days ago with Volodymyr, so I don't want to be longer here, but we will accelerate on the French side.
And on the battlefield, Ukraine is hitting back, of course. Kyiv says its forces struck an oil refinery in Russia's Krasnodar region, triggering a fire. The refinery has a capacity of around 6.25 million tons of crude oil a year. Ukraine has increasingly targeted Russian energy and military infrastructure deep behind the front line. But the true strategic shockwave is unfolding far beneath the Arctic waters. Russia has launched sea trials for a 10,000-ton nuclear-powered special-purpose submarine. Let's just break this down for you further. This submarine is basically designed to carry Poseidon underwater drones, and reports say the vessel is intended to carry up to 6 of these weapons. Poseidon is much heavier than usual torpedoes, so special tubes basically were installed in the new submarine. Poseidon is unlike a conventional missile. It's basically a giant nuclear-powered autonomous underwater vehicle designed to travel underwater over very long distances. Before reaching a target, it's intended to carry a nuclear warhead and attack coastal or naval targets. Poseidon is claimed to be capable of generating devastating radioactive contamination and tsunami-like effects. The trials and the continuous use of nuclear-capable and hypersonic missiles sending out a strong message to Russia's adversaries, basically. They show Russia continuing to develop strategic weapons designed to complicate enemy defenses. Above Ukraine, missiles and drones are testing air defenses. Below the ocean, Poseidon is testing the limits of strategic deterrence. 2 battlefields, 1 message from Moscow. Russia is expanding the ways in which it can threaten an adversary. Let's now focus on what's happening in the UK. The question is, are prisons in Britain becoming breeding grounds for religious conversions? It's a serious concern. If Shadow Justice Secretary and Conservative MP Nick Timothy is to be believed, this is supposedly the case. He has now alleged that white prisoners are being forced to convert to Islam. And what exactly is his hypothesis for this? Referring to data allegedly published by the UK's Ministry of Justice, he claimed that 1 in 5 Muslims in UK jails is white. This is nearly 4 times the rate of 5.8% in the country's general population, by the way. According to reports, the number of white Muslims in UK jails has increased by 16% from 2022 to 2025. That's not all. The UK MP also claiming that the number of Muslims in UK jails has increased, accounting for 18% of the prison population. This also comes despite Muslims making up only 6.5% of the general population. In wake of this, he called upon the UK government to initiate a probe and stamp out forced religion conversions in jails. In fact, this is not an isolated accusation. It has reflected in reports commissioned by the UK government in the past. For instance, Jonathan Hall, who led a review of a legislation on terrorism in jails, found that some charismatic or violent prisoners act as self-styled emirs and ensure religious conversions by implicit or actual violence. Not just that, he claimed that 2 jailed terrorists had threatened other inmates in a bid to convert them to Islam. Another report by Colin Bloom stated that a new prisoner's failure to identify as a Muslim would lead to him being denied protection from the dominant Muslim gang in jail. Responding to the UK MP's claims, a UK government spokesperson affirmed that there is no tolerance for intimidation, gang activity or faith-based coercion of any kind in Britain's prisons. The government also stressing that prison staff act swiftly to clamp down on threatening behavior from any groups or individuals. Last month itself, a report released by Britain's Inspector of Prisons revealed how dire the situation really is. After a thorough inspection of prisons, he found that availability of illicit drugs, often brought in by drones, remained the most significant threat to safety across UK jails. The forced conversion row is yet another wake-up call for the government in Britain. Until December 2024, Ahmed al-Shara was one of the most wanted terrorists for America, with a bounty of $10 million. In a dramatic reversal of fortunes, the US now not only values al-Shara as a cherished partner, but has also delisted Syria as a state sponsor of terrorism. It's quite a U-turn. Making that announcement, the US Secretary of State said, I'm quoting, "This action unlocks new potential for Syria's economic revitalization and progress." Also, what was the trigger for America's move is the immediate question. Rubio linked it to the al-Shara-led government's counter-terrorism efforts against ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, and other Iran-aligned groups. So only Iran, Cuba, and North Korea remain on the state sponsor of terrorism list, basically. Emphasizing on the significance of this move, al-Shara stated that Syria has torn away a painful chapter of its past. He also thanked the US president and other friendly nations for the removal of sanctions. Now, this also assumes significance as Syria has been seeking billions of dollars in investment to rebuild after that long civil war. Let's just listen in to what was said.
Today, Syria shakes off a dark stain and tears away a painful chapter of its past to embark on a path of development, reconstruction, and rebuilding. Great people of Syria, you have done it again. The sanctions against you have been lifted and the restrictions removed.
And why was this so crucial for Syria? Here's the context. The country has been on the list since 1979, when Washington accused the government led by the then president of supporting militant groups. While Trump removed major sanctions on Syria in July last year itself, the state sponsor of terrorism tag remained a major deterrent for banks as well as investors. According to the country's finance minister, this would help Syria reconnect to the global economic system and boost investment. Now, the delisting followed months of negotiations between Damascus and Washington over Syria's economic and foreign policy. And according to Reuters, Syria agreed to drastically reduce imports of Russian oil in exchange for removing the terror label, the terror designation. Meanwhile, the mood on the street was positive, with people hoping that it will help improve the current state of affairs. Listen to this.
Now, regarding the sanctions being lifted from the central bank, this is a very positive development. It reflects positively on citizens and could help improve the difficult situation we are living through. As for the banks, both internationally and domestically, dealings and transactions are expected to become better.
And this also raises another question. Can Syria regain its lost glory? It is an ancient land with a rich history and has been home to diverse cultures, ethnicities, religions. During the Caliphate, Damascus was considered the capital of the Islamic world. At present, though Syria is perceived as a balkanized country, its geographical location also plays a key role. The latest move by the US might bolster Syria, which has been demanding an end to strikes and incursions by its western neighbor Israel. Remember, Israel controls Golan Heights, which it captured from Syria in the year 1967, while the UN created a 400 square kilometer area of separation between Golan Heights and Syria after a war in 1973. Israeli forces entered into the demilitarized zone in 2024 after the fall of Bashar al-Assad's government. And the other key player here is Turkey, which controls close to 5% of Syrian territory to the north. With Turkey emerging as one of al-Shara's main allies, helping train its army and rebuild its state institutions and infrastructure, Israel has become increasingly wary of its influence as well. The situation escalated last week itself when Israel carried out strikes on the Abu al-Duhur base in Syria, reportedly, near the Turkish border. And this drew condemnation from even the US envoy to Syria, who called the attack an unnecessary escalation. Subsequently, Syria and Israel held high-level US-mediated talks in Jordan to revive negotiations for a security agreement. As far as Trump is concerned, al-Shara's elevation has been critical as the US has gained a key ally in West Asia. The Assad dynasty, which ruled Syria for over 5 decades, shared very close ties with Iran and played a crucial role in empowering Hezbollah. In contrast, the al-Shara government has disrupted arms supply routes through Syria to Hezbollah in Lebanon. Additionally, it has arrested members of several Syria-based cells linked to Iranian-backed groups in Iraq as well as Lebanon. With Syria finally getting rid of this terror tag, it remains to be seen whether it can also emerge as a key force in the region. So that remains to be seen. On to Singapore now. It's dramatically expanding financial support for families as it continues to battle a record low fertility rate. In fact, the government is offering eligible Singaporean children government support worth almost $55,000 US from birth to age 17, including healthcare, education benefits. The high-value package was announced by the Prime Minister. This was on the 23rd of August at the National Day rally. In 2025, Singapore's fertility rate fell to a record low of 0.87 children per woman, down from 0.97 in 2024. That is, by the way, well below the 2.1 children per woman needed to keep the population stable without immigration. However, Singapore is not alone. Birth rates are falling across developed parts of the world. This as the rising cost of raising children and the impact on careers is leading more people to delay or avoid parenthood altogether. South Korea, Japan, China are also struggling with plummeting birth rates, aging population, a shrinking workforce. In fact, the Chinese government is now offering incentives to encourage childbirth after decades of population control policies. South Korea also is using cash payments, childcare, housing support, longer parental leave to encourage people to have children. And the fertility crisis is also spreading across Europe. Hungary has offered major tax breaks, housing support, other incentives to encourage larger families. But fertility remains below replacement level.